about Rivers, because you
Yes.
said that was one of the issues that you spoke to the president about.
Yes, I did.
And this is the week of the transition. Clearly, well, it's unclear. We haven't heard the president speak, but from what we can see of the body language of the sole administrator, it does appear that there will be no extension to the emergency rule in Rivers State, in spite of all of the controversy that it has generated. And this is even still within the fact that we're here to hear or, really get closure on whether what the president did was legal or not. We remember that the PDP governors went to the court. They went to the Supreme Court to seek for interpretation as to, they're not questioning the president's powers. That is clearly enshrined in the Constitution. He doesn't have a power to declare a state of emergency. But what has remained unclear is where the president derived his powers from to suspend a democratically elected governor of a state. Okay,
thank you very much. When you see the president, you can ask him that question. But what I can say to you clearly is that, you see, the Nigerian nation is a very chatty nation. And therefore, people make light of serious situations. If you look at what led to that state of emergency, for those who don't manage anything, it's easy for them to assume that doing nothing would have resolved that issue. But it couldn't have been. You had an assembly that was totally not in bed with the governor then. You had a court judgment that was saying they didn't have a legally valid local government, and therefore the Supreme Court should stop the court should give instruction that money should not be paid there. You had a situation where even if you allowed it to continue, more than likely the governor would have just been impeached. And now a president would have just been impeached. And now a president who has also been a governor before and understands how the thing how it can look on the ground, uses some of the extant powers given to him in the Constitution to step in with a view to hoping that he can help them calm free nerves, get them to come together and resolve what is really human relation issues, and then return them back to peace and stability. Well, I understand that people like to talk a lot of cha-cha-cha, but the truth of the matter is that was the right decision at that time, because ordinarily, the governor would have probably been impeached. Then they would have had a lot of brick bats. One side would be fighting the other. They're blowing down the National Assembly. That's chaotic. And Rivers is significant because of the amount of oil assets it has. Any leader that knows what he's doing must step in to say, okay, let's find a way to calm this. And if you look, it has worked. We have seen Governor Wike, former Governor Wike and Governor Fubara come a bit closer to themselves. I don't know what you want to make of the local government election they did, but bottom line is that something that looks like a local government election has been done, and that structure is there. So in a few days' time, of course, the sole administration will step out of the way, and the government will continue. Hopefully, they would have now found a way, because they come from the same stable, really. It was from the stable of the Wike camp that the Fubara president governorship took place. So hopefully, they would have sorted themselves out, and maybe they can, in the best interest of Rivers State, now move forward. But people will say, oh, the president don't have power. What should the president have done? I'm not the spokesperson. It's his business to come and speak on that. But the thing is, should he have allowed the natural direction things would have taken, which is the impeachment of the governor, to take place? And if that had happened, and it was not a popular thing in Rivers, what do you then think would have been the natural pushback? So the president doesn't have much of a choice. He did what he needed to do, and I'm sure he has done it. And I think he gave them 6 months, estimating that that's good enough a time for them to resolve the issues. And hey, they've resolved it. Let them go and fix Rivers now and put the Rivers State back in line. The biggest losers to this whole emergency rule is the party, PDP. Before the emergency rule, we'll naturally have all the local governments in our kitty. We'll have a chummy environment there. But hey, there are consequences to misgovernance. I'm just a little curious. I mean, you heard what President Goodluck Jonathan said. He wasn't... You had to read between the lines to know what exactly he was saying, but it was clear. It was clear enough. Former President Goodluck Jonathan at an event when he said, you know, it's difficult to wake somebody who is pretending to be sleeping. I would have preferred you would have asked him that. What would he have done in that circumstance? Because in the circumstance when the majority of the assembly was no longer with the governor and they had gone to court and the court had found that assembly, would he not have imagined that they would have impeached the governor? That is a political, it was that situation was political. But, you know... How would you have resolved it? Exactly.
I would not know.
Exactly.
But he clearly, you know, had criticisms.
I can tell you what he said. He insinuated that.
And this is on the back of the fact that he also faced a situation in 2014 where he had to declare a state of emergency in 3 states in the Northeast. And
because of a crisis.
Because of a crisis. And you know the people who came hardest on him, telling him he couldn't suspend a governor or remove a sitting governor. As a matter of fact, that even still came up recently when former Attorney General of the country, Mohammed Adoke, wrote his book, and the Vice President was there. You remember that incident?
Yeah, I remember that. I've read the book. Listen,
yes.
We can always insist that in the course of nation building, we're going to keep going back and say, oh, Obasanjo did it like this, why did not do it? Oh, Jonathan, that's not how to lead a nation. Any commander-in-chief that wants to, that is in charge of the nation, will take the reign of the nation and start riding it forward. Some of the experiences of the past will be useful, but some of them must be permanently left in the past. In this particular Rivers case, I do not see any other easy alternative, except, of course, if you are taught that maybe the courts had said, oh, they agreed with the governor's side of the assembly, which would then would have naturally meant that the other guys are going to have to move away. But the court did not. Over and above that, the court also said there was no appropriation budget that it could spend. Look, it seems easy when you don't have to take the hard decision, but the reality of the matter is that that was one of those decisions that the president took to his credit that showed that he can lead, because he stepped in. It couldn't have been a good decision for the weaker side at that time, because obviously the state assembly could have been left. But the president must have figured that if I leave the state assembly, I will tilt the balance of power too much in favor of my minister. So, okay, I'm just going to level the play. Come. I want to leave one day, so these kinds of things impress me.
You want to leave one day, but I'm just
a little curious
how you took that as a member of the PDP. I would have thought
listen, before that event, I had even gone to Rivers to do a town hall meeting on my own at my course, begging them to come together and just let's save ourselves. But you know what happened? There are people in this country who like to profit from people's miseries. Rather than figure out how to bring two brothers together, and I had very harsh word for Rivers elders. What they were doing, they were poking them. They'll poke Fubara, then poke Wike, and just expect them. And you know they have a particular culture of vibe in that environment. So they kept making it worse. And then it got really, really bad until the point where they didn't have an assembly building. They couldn't do appropriation. The courts, it was unnecessary. It was totally unnecessary because ab initio, these two men come from the same side. They went from two different sides. They came from the same side. And all that would have been required was for people that had a bit of gravitas there to step in and say, gentlemen, you're going to risk Rivers too much. This is too much. You need to take it easy. Leadership has a way of balancing out things. Just because you're a governor doesn't mean that every other person in the state is small. Hey, Mr. Minister, can you go easy? That's how to keep nations and states together. Okay, now that they got the state of emergency, why didn't they go and remove the administrator before he expression of his hand? Leadership needs a bit of pragmatism, and I'm quite happy that they're back because I really like Fubara. I like what he was trying to do. I've been there. People said the place was peaceful. People liked what he was doing with the society, with the environment, and I didn't want him to be out of power. But hey, they pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed until it got to a breaking point. Thank goodness God, somebody that has responsibility and authority has helped them to rediscover themselves. And if you look at them now, in the last couple of months, we have seen them attend functions together. I'm sure they'll be fine. I'm sure they'll be fine. Rivers will be good. And all of those who are saying they would have done it, they would have done it, they would have done it, they can't do better.